And thank you so much for your responses. So, let's see. The days of traditional orientation, like traditional training, are long gone. With doubling a global workforce and more than 50% of expenses are actually going to capability building, it is almost logical to have virtual onboarding orientation for the new employees as well. Before I get into the agenda and into the details, I'd just like to share an example with you with IBM, who actually called their virtual program Second Life. And it was pretty much based on the concept of the game Second Life. Your employees are taken through the entire orientation process virtually in a virtual environment. The new hire learnings plus collaborates to form a successful team. Excuse me. It is done via a virtual onboarding center. A transfer of knowledge is culminated through presentations, audios, visuals, videos. Discussions are held through audio and video chat. For example, for an employee, specific information that needs to be shared, it's done through kiosk. That's enabling the entire induction program to be conducted virtually. And neither the new hire nor the facilitators or inductors need to actually travel across geography. And can conduct the induction while being geographically dispersed in locations. Having said that, that's what we're going to be looking at today. The what and the why of and the how of onboarding, the role of technology, better than opportunities, what it takes to make it a success, some tips and case study which we would be sharing out of our experience. And yes, our experience comes from the fact that we've actually been in business for about over 12 years and trained or imparted learning in about 35 countries for about 2.5 million learners. The approach that we adopt 24/7 as an organization is we bifurcate into consulting, technology expertise, and implementation services. So when we talk of consulting, we don't really sell what we have, but it's to see what is the need with you. So learning the culture assessment, skill gap and training need assessment, competency mapping. With our technology experts, we have the LMS. We have various types of content and specific domain-specific content. Implementation services we have is from our LearnTrack LMS. Effective onboarding leads to an engaged workforce and brand advocacy. And how is it that we're talking of this? One of the many benefits of virtual onboarding is that it not only leads to an engaged workforce, but latent also helps in building the brand. So as soon as an employee starts a new job, the clock begins ticking. An effective onboarding program is essential to quickly bring new hires up to speed on an organization's core values, mission, policies, systems, and daily practices, as well as ensure that they can be productive as soon as possible. In a research which was conducted, it states that actually only 60% of the new hires believe their company's orientation program is adequate, which means we still have 40% of the people who think it is not adequate. 63% believe that they're all training. There's a large gap there again, so 37%. Over the years, many companies have launched new onboarding systems in one way or another to better inform, connect, and engage with new hires right from the word go. In fact, some businesses such as PepsiCo are currently communicating with the new hires way before the first day of the job. They launched an employee onboarding website to help new employees familiarize themselves with the company and their role and then before they officially actually get on the first day of the job. New employees receive what is like a basket to containing their products, so they can not only carry them, use them, get familiarized, but also become brand advocates. And this is before they come on board. This is not only a welcoming practice, but an excellent way to create brand awareness that will directly result in brand advocacy. Okay. So having said that, what is virtual training? Why do we have virtual onboarding, and how is it conducted? So not the what concept is alien to most of us who are in the L&D, but let's look at a running definition again. It primarily describes new hire programs delivered over the web that actually complement or replace in-person new hire, like I mentioned earlier. It also allows the new employee to be more readily, become assimilated to corporate culture, with the advantage of the program being consistent, standardized, and the new hire messaging content delivered anywhere around the world and on any device. At the same time, building more of a culture awareness within the employees, helping in synergy, in the long run. So let's try and understand why aspect through a case in hospitality. So a leading organization with about more than 3,800 properties across 74 countries and operating under 18 brands, catering to almost 3,25,000 employees, and is yet consistently recognized as a top employer. We're talking about the Marriott hotels and resorts. So let's start the beginning. Marriott's Global University Relation and Recruitment Program, one of the company's key recruiting tools, is used to attract the outstanding university graduates from leading hospitality management schools, culinary programs, etc. So once the employees are hired, the new employees, they need to participate in Marriott's leadership program, which is called the Voyage, the company's innovative virtual onboarding environment. However, prior to implementing Voyage, Marriott used 3 onboarding programs. These programs were designed for separate brands, different geographies, and they were, however, paper-based. And what used to, and something that Marriott's vice president of global talent actually mentioned and called it a dated approach to onboarding. Recruits were required to print material from the company's intranet, so much for being environment friendly, and were provided limited opportunities to communicate or collaborate with the global employees, managers, or leaders for that matter. In addition, the older programs did not scale for Marriott's rate of growth and were not aligned with the talent pool that the company was actually recruiting, including the interactive technology, social media, and mobile capabilities. To address these problems, Marriott's global talent leaders conducted a wide range of focus groups with key constituencies. So it was starting from the college students to managers, recruiters, etc. And with previous onboarding participants. So based on this feedback, the company took the best parts of its old program, evolved them into Voyage virtual onboarding environment, which contained, let's say, social media, webcasting, mobile technology, and access to traditional learning management systems. In contrast to Marriott's previous program, the Voyage environment is built around the social aspects of communication, participation, and connection. Sorry. Based on my functional VLE, which is our virtual learning environment, Voyage is designed to accomplish several of Marriott's key goals: to enable recruiters to quickly, effectively, and confidently assimilate the company's culture. Marriott's culture is a distinctive blend of common values, goals, actions, and images that portray the company's core values. provide global onboarding that is flexible and reaches employees working in Marriott properties across the world. And it's also available in various languages. It also gives easy access to clear learning paths and a wide variety of learning resources. These resources could be, PDF learning guides, e-learning courseware, webcasts, self-study material, name it, and it would be there. So that's primarily what Marriott did and how they actually evolved and why they actually saw the need to evolve. Having said that, we know for a fact that virtual onboarding would not be possible if it was not for the technology that we have. So let's look at the role of technology in virtual onboarding. And I'd just like to thank everyone for sending in the poll results as well. Just give Thank you. The very nature, like I said, of virtual onboarding implies that technology is going to play a major role, enabling role for it. Increasingly, mobile technology, smartphone, tablets, and the other types of wireless devices are an integral part in today's training and thereby the virtual onboarding as well. The effective application of various types of technology is critical to the efficiency and consistency required for successful onboarding programs. In fact, Versant research found that high-impact organizations are able to reduce cost, engage new hires, establish organization-wide consistency, and extend their virtual onboarding programs through the use of technology. As discussed previously, technology can also help to address different generational expectations during the onboarding process. Example, we have the millennials' preference for interactive media tools and access to the social networking side. When we describe a virtual approach to onboarding, new members of the workforce are describing a talent management process likely composed of social interactions as well as other formal or self-paced learning or development experiences. A virtual approach to onboarding also means that the program is supported and enabled by the VLEs, online collaboration tools, and other technologies that allow it to bridge geographically dispersed work zones. Virtual learning environments are essentially enablers for virtual onboarding. By combining interactive virtual locations, training centers, virtual mentoring, social networking, and other collaborative tools, VLEs create an engaging onboarding experience for a wide range of programs and employees. Moreover, they also employ enable new employees to access training courses at any time from any location. So let's look at the benefit and the impact of virtual onboarding. So we've taken up 5 over here. So when we talk of an employee a geographically dispersed workforce, or it enables experience for a multi-generational workforce, cost saving, which we all know is very sensitive to most of us today, helps to reduce new hire time to competency and facilitates social interaction. Let's see in detail for each one of them. Yeah, we have one bouncing right there. So enhancing employee engagement for a geographically dispersed workforce. To see how virtual onboarding enhances this, let's dwell on issues that we would actually face. At the same time, if anyone knows or faces such issues, please mention that in the chat window. We really appreciate responses on that. What we have generally seen is that many global companies are struggling with the results of ineffective onboarding programs across segments of their global workforce. Referring back to the data I mentioned earlier, it's only 60% of the new hires that actually believe the company's orientation program is adequate, and about 63% believe their organization currently provides effective training. So onboarding programs are often inconsistent, costly, because face-to-face onboarding requires repetitive allocation of resources. In addition, traditional new employee orientation programs do not always create effective employee engagement or onboarding to company's unique culture. As evidenced, in one of the reports that we stumbled upon with Illinois Institute of Technology, Libby Hempel and Andrew Begel found that geographically dispersed workforces often experience difficulty in adapting to their work environment. In fact, they also found evidence that inadequate onboarding of a global workforce can significantly impede the performance, productivity, and morale of geographically dispersed employees. Virtual onboarding offers an opportunity for expeditious delivery of complete family and cost-conscious onboarding. Enabled by VL's virtual onboarding is particularly well suited for global to develop consistent delivery of the company's branding messages, culture norms, employee expectations, while facilitating the socialization of workforce widely dispersed over numerous countries and continents. Looking next, it enhances the new hire experience for a multi-generational workforce. We've all seen the wide range of new employees from baby boomers to millennials. Even if we wanted to take an average and create a jagged profile, we'd find ourselves struggling and actually looking at two diverse ends of the stick. And we have all of them. So what feel welcome within the company culture, productive as members of a multi-generational workforce. Some of the areas in which virtual onboarding enhances the new hire experience for a multi-generational workforce can also include a couple of things, which is leveraging social media and appealing to the millennials, or avoiding the one-size-fits-all approach. So coming back to the social media piece, although some organizations develop their own social networking sites, some of them are integrating popular social media tools into their onboarding strategies. So virtual onboarding solutions can provide social media capabilities for new hires and all members of the work community surrounding them. Particularly, this is important for the millennials. Social media is at the heart of their world. It allows them to connect with co-workers and friends globally at a quick speed. The avoiding one-size-fits-all onboarding is an essential step in developing a virtual onboarding strategy for multi-generational workers is to understand the different expectations and priorities each generation demands from a new employer. The flexibility and creativity enabling by virtual onboarding allows all types of global firms to tailor their onboarding experience for workers of any age. Saving is like a new buzzword in the business world today. So we will see the ways in which we can attempt to actually save cost. In addition to acquiring the benefits of efficiency and quality, virtual onboarding can also help in containing rising of cost for onboarding and retaining the new hires. Cost containment is critical for today's talent management leaders because of the sizable financial losses which poorly executed onboarding actually bring within an organization. The primary opportunity for cost containment is alignment in-person onboarding training and the repetition of non-standardized onboarding programs across the country. Virtual onboarding done well enables the delivery of a uniformly high quality, consistent and standardized onboarding experience for all employees. Another opportunity which we can have of cost containment is that of new hire retention. The untimely loss of new hires represents an extremely significant cost in an organization today. As reported in one of the studies, 1/4 of all newly hired workers leave their company within a year of being hired. And this is at an average cost of about $10,000. And this is for recruiting, hiring, onboarding, and training each lost employee. To add to that figure, the cost of hiring, loss of productivity, and the intangible cost of damaged morale that the workers, would actually have. As an effective alternate, virtual onboarding can help new hires to become better engaged and add value, and that is quickly. As well as serve as a powerful tool for cost containment in a variety of ways. So that could be by reducing time to competency. Organizations are more able to convert new hires into productive and profitable employees. By reducing the time required to deliver relatively expensive onboarding program components, it can be classroom training, manager coaching, time lost by SMEs, either ways. Investment in one or more of these activities. Additionally, by reducing or eliminating the high cost of the travel, lodging, and this is losing away non-productive time from work. In addition, virtual onboarding done well has the potential to reduce employee attrition and thereby contain the cost as well. Looking at the fourth one, it helps to reduce new hire time to competency, and let's see how. In many organizations, reducing time to competency for new hires is a critical driver of profitability. In fact, reducing time to competency for new hires can mean more products developed, more services delivered, more orders filled, more deals in the pipeline, and the more, and the more, and the more. So virtual onboarding can actually help to significantly decrease time to proficiency by providing effective, which is formal and informal training, and knowledge sharing by enabling new hires to more quickly join the conversation, like we say. Looking beyond standard types of formal training that virtual onboarding can facilitate, new hires may benefit equally from participating in the informal and the culture learning that occurs in day-to-day business. As we discussed for excuse me. So having spoken about the various aspects above, it is no surprise that it facilitates social interaction. Virtual onboarding supports and facilitates the social element in onboarding new hires to a company culture and work assignments, particularly if new workers are located remotely. It enables the individual manager to interact with the new hire in welcoming, informative, and supportive manner. It also enables the company to leverage the manager's valuable knowledge and experience, easing their ability to mentor new hires regardless of the location. So we're not restricting the knowledge as per geography. It enables the SMEs to serve as online training facilitators, helping to enhance the real-world applicability of lessons and quality of learning experiences. Let's take a quick look into these, which is the tools for onboarding. I've shared a few analogies from different industries who have adopted virtual onboarding. Let's now look at the tools. Keeping in line with the traditional approach, so we have formal, semi-formal, and informal, which is, formal will have your orientation workshops, orientation packets, briefing, mentoring sessions. Informal would have your observations, casual conversations, and trial and error. Your virtual training has actually moved it all to based meetings, dedicated website, conference calls, virtual mentoring, which is for semi-formal, and your informal has stuck to social media. And they're actually happy with that. So let's take a look at the elements of a successful onboarding program. Now take a virtual onboarding and put it in perspective. Let's phase it out, and you have the phase 1 to phase 5, which actually talks about delivering results. So phase 1 actually consists of various modalities. So it's the selection, which will actually talk of communications, customized onboarding plan, preliminary stakeholder analysis by HR champions, the HR policy, technology need analysis, because without technology we really don't have much to do here. Sorry. So that's your selection piece. Your pre-boarding, which is your assessment, leadership styles, behavior interviews, panel review, or realistic job preview, RJP. Integration will culminate of meeting co-workers, team transition meetings, stakeholder mapping, and interviews. Execution is regular manager reviews, scorecard, ongoing coaching, and feedback. And finally, when we talk of delivery results, matrice reviews and 360-degree survey. So when we talk of selection, you incorporate and you talk of okay, I'm sorry. I'm just going to have to take a pause here and ask the audience if everyone's facing an issue with the background noise. I'm having a hard time talking about it. You could just put a smiley into the chat window if you think it's all right. I'm going with the fact that nobody's facing any disturbance. So we'll just go back to the session. Archana, please let me know if you still continue to face it, because there is actually, I'm in a closed room right now. Should not ideally have an issue, but let me know. We'll get the technical team to look at it. Okay, so we were talking about phase 1, which is our selection. Here we're looking at incorporating knowledge, skills, abilities, and personal characteristics required for success in virtual role to the selection process. So which is preferences, skills, and attributes, which is primarily we're looking at measuring it by assessments, interviews, and realistic job reviews. Phase 2, which is pre-boarding, get on board on-demand training sessions. Employees enter companies with existing connections. Reconnect employees are likely to be rapid onboarders. Take information from social sites to help onboard virtual workers. Dedicated organizational web page for relevant content. Important to include information relevant to managers and employees, and avoiding the tendency to rely exclusively on computer-based orientation for actual onboarding. Studies show that web-based and multimedia content does not account for all aspects of onboarding. That's something we will always agree. Integration will look at organizations utilizing sharing knowledge and building relationships. Organizational socializing is a critical aspect of any onboarding program, especially when bringing employees into virtual work setting. Research demonstrates that increased socialization, introduction to people, values from veterans identify more strongly with the organization. Find and use organizational leverage points. Integration, which is sharing of knowledge, in-person cube-to-cube interaction is no longer possible. Knowledge work is often the type of job that is moved to a virtual environment, and technology must provide a rapid exchange of information between, again, geographically dispersed co-workers. Finally, looking at the execution, which is actually managing the performance, and we'll also share an example pulse survey. Performance may not be directly observable in the same way that it is, whilst the person is working, and hence it's good to develop a plan for how performance on the job will be managed. And to do it's the best to do this prior to onboarding. It is also good to embed this expectation in the onboarding process, put a structure in place to facilitate performance management. So a pulse survey is just an example that we'd like to share. The onboarding plan supported the new employees' success in a virtual role. HR works with the new leader with his or her team to help identify and address potential issues in working effectively together in a virtual setting. Next, the onboarding program helps to increase the new leader's time productivity and also the new manager to avoid or address potential derailers. The new hires have been appropriately launched in the onboarding mentoring process, and all of this makes it a worthwhile investment to actually deliver results. So we're again looking at 3 subheadings for results. We're looking at operational matrices, management matrices, and strategic. In operational, we look at the process performance measures. In management, we're looking at status indicators for line managers primarily, and strategic is results in the actual outcome. So with the operational, you have a positive evaluation which can be identified by the stakeholders and its frequency of access, and follow up with the leader in 3 to about 6 to 12 months. Productivity or management matrices is primarily looking at productivity of an employee. So it can be immediately productive with tools, information, and contacts, creation of effective 90-day plan within the first 30 days. And second, evaluations which can be conducted by the hiring manager and HR. Strategic, which is successful integration within the organization, because we said we're looking at results and outcome here. So the effective execution of the 90-day plan, no unwanted attrition within 5 months, and 100% would hire again responses from follow up with 6 to 12 months. So with this, we have looked at what it takes to make virtual onboarding a success. So let's look at some of the tips that we were talking about within our agenda initially. So we have know your audience, tell stories, tailor your message, leverage technology, and monitor and make improvements. So knowing your audience, understanding what they will need to know about joining the company and how they prefer to consume the information is actually the key. For a global virtual content, short and simple email communications with links to topical webinars and key reference information may be an optional approach. Position for success, their managers will be engaged actually with the onboarding process. Therefore, creating communications for their manager is a good idea, as it actually enables them to be better prepared to support their new team, particularly for those in their career who don't come to the organization with loads of experience in the corporate world. Tailor your message. So involve a subject matter expertise. and take time to conduct the interviews to gain a good understanding of the company culture in order to customize the content and generate the corporate nomenclature is really critical. Incorporating tips about how to successfully contribute to your company makes the content much more relevant and speeds up the process of the new hiring, figuring out the unwritten rules primarily. Telling stories. Part of customization happens when you incorporate the real life stories of people who have successfully demonstrated the behavior you're highlighting in an onboarding material. People remember stories, so it helps the new hire remember what success looks like and identify with the role models they can evaluate. Just to share an example with everyone about sharing stories, or actually why the nomenclature of an organization or the lingo of an organization becomes extremely important. I was interacting with an organization, with the L&D head of an organization last week, where he mentioned that a behavioral training which needed to be conducted. The behavioral training was actually on emotions. So they had real life stage actors who came and enacted the 9 emotions, the nuggets, which is presented to the participants or to the team or to the organization, the employees. And of course, stage one was awareness of the 9 emotions. Second was understanding how do I manage the emotions, and third was how do I manage the emotion of other. So there was the entire permutation, combination, and distribution of that. Having said that, this is a very it's not in sync with the organization's culture. However, every emotion that got exhibited over there got supplemented with some lingo, some conversations, some coffee conversations, or some the room conversation was actually imbibed into those kits. That made the learners or the participants or the team actually relate to the emotions and be able to imply and implement them in the real life within their working culture. So it becomes extremely important, for us to ensure that it's all catered to the audience eventually. So coming back, there was just an example of one of the interactions. Leverage technology. The very nature of virtual curriculum implies that technology will play a big part. Leveraging technology platforms, it's your LMS primarily. It will include email, webcast, and internal platforms where material of, let's say, webinar videos can be accessed for simple, easy. Another option actually to add could be our use of a voice memo. It actually shows up as an attachment in an email, and when it is launched, there's a voice to accompany the email. It's just a personalization program. Most important, monitor and make improvements. It's a continuous process after all. We're always looking for ways to make our programs even better. So after the initial rollout, it's important to take time to check in with your audience to understand what worked well and what could have been better. There are certain questions which can be asked, and this is, was the content right? Was it delivered in a manner that was easy to access and understand? Did it make a difference? Are the new hires or are the learners in fact better prepared and able to be productive more quickly? And did it influence how they are able to effectively integrate into an organization? For the L&D team, we need to move from what I need to learn for the participant and convert it to understanding, did you learn what you needed? This helps in gauging efficacy of our virtual onboarding or training for that matter. It's important to stay objective and quickly make needed adjustments so the content stays fresh, relevant, and ultimately achieves your business objectives. Any type of social onboarding program is well worth the investment. Your new hires will feel welcome to know you care enough to invest in educating them and on how to get off to a good start and be successful within your company. Taking advantage of the information you provide is actually up to them eventually. Okay, Ladima, I'm going to take your question now, and I will take it for the benefit of all. It's a very valid question. So what are the costs involved in virtual onboarding of content upgradation or changes? I'll take one at a go. So what's involved with the cost with virtual onboarding? It's not a recurring cost. Virtual onboarding, if you're talking about LMS, videos, etc., more often than not, we've seen induction onboarding processes pretty much stays the same. Core values, missions of an organization is not fluid. However, having said that, yes, content upgradation and changes. This does not mean a 180-degree change, and that's why virtual onboarding actually stays consistent, because we're not moving into nitty-gritties of every single process that can be volatile. These are the kind of upgrades or changes can actually go through a small change management. And if you actually compare the ROI of and virtual onboarding versus the repeated trainings of ILT, which is instructor-led training and continuous travel, boarding, lodging, you see that in the long run, the difference is very large, and virtual onboarding is actually less. And at some point, we had done this webinar on ROI as well. And at that time, we had actually discussed this entire piece that virtually may look expensive right now, but if you have to actually grade it and see it in the long run, and the benefits of it are way large. I do hope that answers your question, William. So having said that and covered most of what we had actually initiated, I'd like to know from everyone if you'd like to share your thoughts. So if you want, you could put it into the chat window, the one thing that you would probably take away. So that will help us. Or the one thing that you think maybe we could have incorporated. So that will help us for next time. So if you could do that, that would be great. And before I share the case study now. So as we go along, we'll look at the case study which I had mentioned earlier. So Vodafone, which is the world's second largest mobile telecommunication company with a customer base of 150 million in India, needed to train their dispersed workforce on their USPs, and which is value-added services and Vodafone data services. It is important for their customer care to have in-depth knowledge of each of the services offered and the core selling points that would enable them to attract the customer base worldwide. The company wanted to quickly accelerate this initiative using e-learning or an online training program. There were many reasons to consider the e-learning mode. Primarily, it was most affordable than traditional learning. Vladimir, coming back to actually what I was mentioning. And the savings for them were over about 60%. First, it was more affordable than the traditional training. And second, the online courses will be taken in multiple settings. And that's, at any given point of time. It is primarily to give the learners the leeway of time when you want to access the course and when you want to do it. Actually, online training could take place anywhere at any time while you're traveling, or the only thing is you need to have a computer with internet access. So what they actually primarily did is that Vodafone partnered with 24/7 Learning to customize e-learning modules that strengthen their product and service knowledge for workforce. The first one was the Vodafone induction course that was introduced to new employees. Vodafone's history as a global organization, what the brand stood for, the consumer, the market insights, and most importantly, the science behind the telecom structure of Vodafone. A customized e-learning mentor or a character called Susan was introduced to take the learners through the course, mirroring primarily a classroom structure. So this is primarily done for their value-added services with a series of animated episodes based on a daily life of a typical Indian family. And each character had a story was modeled on a regular telecom service user, which was their value-added services mapped to the character and the need of an individual. So it actually played a double role, and that's what knowledge training facilitation is all about end of the day. So you may give the knowledge, which was the module was giving the knowledge. There is one way that it does that. It gave the knowledge of the value-added services. However, at the same time, it also gave them that where is it they can apply the knowledge. The sales team was made aware where the knowledge can be applied, what's the profile of the person that you need to pitch a particular value-added service to. So it gives them that understanding as well. So obviously improving the results and reducing costs. 24/7 Learning actually built a course to train Vodafone employees on data services as well, which are offered by Vodafone. The content revolved primarily around the latest 3G services that were offered. Step-by-step animation, complex concepts were broken into simple, logical, and easy to understand topics to help the learner absorb and retain information. Additionally, there were certain checkpoints that were, included at every few pages to reinforce primarily and recall and aid better in learning. For each of these customized e-learning modules, equip the learner with necessary skills that they could relate to in the day-to-day scenarios. So the other offerings that we also included was, the business skills courses, which was about 10,000 users, which helped in effective training, specific to business skills and competencies relevant to the industry. And as a result, we've just mentioned a few. So 11% of total learning in the organization today is delivered through e-learning. Significant reduction, like I said, 60% of cost reductions happened. And the employees. Okay, Amrita actually has a question, and Amrita, I'm going to again take the question for the benefit of all because it's applicable to all of us. So Amrita's question is, virtual onboarding varies from organization to organization. Stakeholders are multiple in some cases, and you're absolutely right. In fact, in most of the cases, stakeholders are multiple. And she'd like to know if I could broadly classify what are key tasks to be completed in the first 15 days as part of the onboarding for employees in remote or on-site or distant location. Amrita, I totally agree with this, and it's absolutely applicable. I can give you a generic, 15-day. However, what we've always seen and what we did even in the past with our clients who've taken an induction or have moved their induction programs from instructor-led to a virtual environment, they have mapped it primarily to what their existing onboarding was. So the first 15 days, depending upon how much information every organization is going to be giving to their employees, is generally given away to, in terms of the company, the culture, the core values, and starting with that and then moving on to specific business line that we're talking about, and from the business line, moving it into specific key areas and key deliverables. So the transition basically is going to happen in 3 phases. So first it's about the company, then it's about the business line, and then it's about your primarily key areas of deliverables. Having said that, the duration can vary. A company, I have seen an organization where, a business orientation has at times lasted about 3 weeks and 6 weeks and 4 days. So the orientation depends upon how much of information needs to be given to a new employee, right? So that's the key factor which one can keep in mind and map it primarily along the lines of what you have in your current onboarding system. Since we are talking of that, I'd actually like from everyone, how many of y'all are actually doing virtual onboarding as of now? So let's just take a poll on that. I've just opened up another poll for everyone, if you could answer. Okay. Thanks, lovely. But I've just opened it, so let me know if you still can't see it. For anyone, it should be available on the top right-hand corner of the screen, one of the drop-downs. If you can't see the poll, please feel free to put the answers over here. We'll conduct the survey ourselves. No problems. We have a question here from Delighton. How to sell this proposal to management moving from a classroom to online other than the cost benefit? Okay, just give me 1 minute. Latimer, you can't see the poll as well, but thanks for the answer. Right, so coming back to the question, besides cost, what are the benefits? There's various which you can actually look at. So some of them would be the consistency of training. It also be a time saving, and we're also talking of better knowledge imparting, and that's the piece that we were covering when we shared the example with you about Marriott, as well as later in the presentation when we spoke of benefits that we get. So yes, cost is a very large factor in this. However, there is the factor of consistency, the time, effectiveness. Can nobody see the poll, I think? Okay, just let me close it and try it again then. I've just opened up the poll once again. So let me know if you can't meet. It's absolutely fine. Please put in the answers here. We gather them. Not an issue at all. But the ones who have actually answered, thank you very much. Okay, I guess now we can see the poll. Welcome, Archana. Thank you. Great. Thanks. Okay. So putting it all together, a done well or a well-executed virtual onboarding helps to build an employee morale and accelerate time to competency, thereby increasing the likelihood that each new hire is engaged and effectively contributing to the organization's goal. The business benefits of consistency and the cost savings derived from decreased reliance on people-led onboarding are both compelling. This will answer the question of why, not only cost. So in addition, like I said, Marriott's virtual onboarding environment exemplifies the leading practice which we discussed in this research, in this today. It enables enabling recruits to quickly, effectively, and confidently assimilate to the company's culture and become engaged employees, being one. Providing a global onboarding platform that is flexible and customized to a wide range of language and cultural requirements, and providing easy access to learning resources, collaboration opportunities, and links to co-workers which are across cultures and across around the world. If anyone has anything else to say about the takeaways or putting it all together, please feel free to put it, and I'm going to just close the poll. Thank you very much. So let's just recap on what we have actually looked at today. We've looked at effective onboarding that leads to engaged workforce, the impact or benefits of virtual onboarding, the tips when it comes, and of course, the Vodafone case study that we have shared. Certain key takeaways that we'd like to mention here. Global companies are actually looking for innovative ways to, accelerate the onboarding of new hires to enhance retention, reduce time to competency, and contain substantial cost invested in recruiting and the hiring process. Virtual onboarding describes new hire programs delivered over the web that eliminate the necessity for in-person new hire orientation and onboarding. It allows the new employee to become more readily assimilated to the corporate culture with the advantage again of being consistent and standardized. Really, when we talk of virtual learning environments, have the power to remotely enable virtual onboarding programs within the multi-generational and globally connected world. Virtual onboarding practices enable a shift from traditional one-size-fits-all model towards a recognition of diversity of today's global workforce. And we're not even talking of the age, it's the entire demographic profile. So like I said, to create a jagged profile of today's new employees is really not going to be possible. So virtual onboarding actually is like a major tool for containing the spiraling cost of new hire onboarding. It is particularly well suited for global companies that want to provide consistent delivery of the company's branding messages, cultural norms, and expectations while facilitating the socializing of a workforce widely dispersed over numerous countries and continents. So anyone has any questions? Arshna, I believe you did have a question. I'm just going to go back to it. Okay, I don't think so. Most welcome, Lanima. Thank you. Sure, Amrita, go ahead. I've also shared a link for feedback. We'd appreciate if you could actually take a couple of minutes. So, Ritu, I would like to. So, Ritu, when Ritu has a question, and I'm again going to take it aloud. She would like to know or have more clarity on how performance management is related to the virtual onboarding process. Ritu, remember we were talking about the measurement at 2 stages in the webinar. We spoke of measurement. One was, you know, how we can actually the 5 tips that we spoke of. Just yeah, okay, just give me a second. Yeah, so we were talking about the measurement on 2 stages, and you're talking of, just give me 1 second, let me read a question. It's the best to actually link it back to the performance and set the, you know, the performance management or the goal criteria within the first 30 days and make it a 90-day action plan, is what we had spoken about when we spoke of the, you know, measuring the change for them. Okay, I had a question as well. So Amrita has a question. We do primarily for folks working out of on-site, joining client locations. So, Amrita, remember the questions that I stated, you know, moving away from our generic feel that, you know, as L&D professionals, we like to always know what is it that the participant has learned. The question that we should actually cater to is, or rather convert, so what is it that I have learned? So did they learn what they needed? So it's the best to start off with the goal in the mind. So when you say that within 15 days, they're going to be joining the client side, work backwards. See what is it that they need to know primarily, more than, I don't know, it could probably be more about culture that you're talking, interaction with the employees or the organization. It could be anything. Take your cue from what they need to know once they move to that location, because probably process and product may get covered later, or the role may get covered later. Depending upon that, set that as your goal and move backwards from it, and that's how you will measure it. And measurement of online effectiveness is just the same as in ILT. So it's, we go Patrick model. That's also fine. Okay, Nalima also has a question. How much are we spending on e-learning? Nalima, we are actually an e-learning consultancy. We primarily do not spend. We get organizations to spend e-learning. But to get an average, it's specific to industries and being in various stages of e-learning. So everyone, it's a question after everyone actually then. What's the ballpark that everyone is spending? Who has Nalima with the answer? But however, to that question, Nalima, it's a very industry average, and it depends upon the stage of e-learning that an organization is. Yeah, there you go. So that's us. That's the information about us. So anyone has any more questions? I'd be happy to take them. So thank you everyone for joining our webinar. Do share your feedback with us.
Improvement. You're learning. Thank you for reading
Welcome, Mamita. Thank you.
Improvement.
Amara, you like my ID? Here we go. It'll also be there on the presentation in the first slide, just in case you need it from there, but here it is.
No,
Well, thank you very much. Thank you all for joining in. It was great having you all here with all the interactions. And I do hope that you're able to take away something from the session today. I'm great if you could let us know if there's something we could have added, or of what you'd like to see at some other point. Do drop in your suggestions as well. We couldn't be that perfect. Some suggestions? Okay, thank you all once again.